returned to communist master to cover his criminal questions.
सरस्वती सहचरा प्राण शरीरम स्तोत्राणि सर्वागिरो यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तदखिलम् श्रीमति यशो कमले नास्ति वदाना येषां मावीर कन्या प्रिय गुण कथने प्रसिद्ध प्रभुवन्मधारी नमामि शनीशान् अनुरूपं विभुं व्यापकं प्रभवं वेदस्वरूपम् constant and everlasting. It can never be cut into pieces nor burned by fire. Water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. We belong to a tradition which believes that the soul is immortal. That immortal soul has moved on from the body that for 77 years we have known as reepu daman. Today we are gathered to bid farewell to that soul and to perform the last rites for the mortal remains that have served him in his sojourn among us. While we are saddened and we must grieve, we also know that there is no untimely death. We take comfort and rejoice in the fact that Pandiji moved among us and moved us, and he has bequeathed a legacy that which we can all be proud of. Pandiji started his life on a sugar estate, the only son of indentured immigrants. He was born on the 16th of January 1936 at Plantation Daman, where he grew up and had first-hand experience of Logie life. From an early age, he experienced and witnessed penury, the worst living conditions, and exploitation. And it must have formed him into the person, as we know, worked all his life for the uplift and betterment of others. His innate optimism and liberating psychology was revealed whenever he commented on Logie and estate life. He never dwelt on the hardships and disadvantaged nature of that life and of those times. Instead, he spoke fondly of the joys and pleasures of the Kelowna, where the community shared responsibility for taking care of each other's children while adults were at work. He remembered and was inspired by the communality, the sharing, the bonding, and the love that characterized the neighbors' response to their hardships and oppression. And it became a principle and model for him. We can only relieve our individual hardship, pain and suffering through cherishing, sharing, and nurturing each other. It became an enduring aspect of his message and his preaching, that is, to not be trapped in the tyranny of victimhood, but to see the positives and opportunities in every situation. Unfortunately, Panditri lost his father, Pandit Durga Prasad, when he was only 9, and through force of circumstances, had to take on increasing responsibility for himself. Through personal effort and exposure over a lifetime to the highest levels of learning, Pandit became a repository of knowledge. The depth and breadth of his knowledge of the Hindu religion philosophy, politics, constitutional law, and parliamentary procedures is awe-inspiring, and he has borne the closest of scrutiny. In 1956, at the age of 20, he became Assistant General Secretary of the Guyana Sanatan Mahasabha, and in 1959, Mahasabha, as the leading Hindu organization, coincided with his tenure as Assistant General Secretary and then General Secretary of this organization. By the time he was maneuvered out of the Mahasabha at age 33, he had already made his mark on the way this fledgling nation was being constituted. During the period 1956 to 1969, he literally transformed the way Hinduism was organized, practiced, and represented in Guyana. With unbounded energy and enthusiasm, he reached out all across Guyana and mobilized the entire Hindu community under his leadership of the Mahasabha. Through a process of Mandir affiliations, synchronized programs for the celebration of major Hindu festivals, satsangs, and yatras. It was during this period that Pandit reepu revolutionized the manner by which Sanatan Dharma was communicated and celebrated among Hindus. Innovating in the way of music, singing, and chanting were incorporated into the delivery of scriptural sermons, and without compromising ritual orthodoxy, he set the standard for the communication of Sanatan Dharma in Guyana, Trinidad, and North America. The upshot was that Hindu festivals became an integral part of the national cultural calendar, and the beliefs and practices of Hinduism were integrated into the shared common culture of Guyana. It is true that no one man can be responsible for all the changes and developments, but it is our considered opinion that Pandit reepu leadership and dynamism were seminal to these achievements. In the immediate post-colonial period, as the various streams of our multi-ethnic composition were jockeying for their stake in the newly emerging nation, and as the many factions from the several ethnic, religious, and political streams were jostling for their place, the Mahasabha was seen as a threat to the then ruling establishment. And in their effort to minimize the influence of the organization and demobilize the youth community, Pandit was maneuvered out of the organization in 1969. This and other developments during that period led to a mood of disenchantment and cynicism in the country, especially within the Indian community. It was at that time that the character and courage of Pandit revealed itself in its finest incarnation. He continued his work among the people, and in 1973 founded the Daman Harmony Center. He nurtured it with intelligence and understanding against great difficulty and opposition. And today it is the largest and most respected organization representing Hindus in Guyana. We honestly believe that the Guyana Hindu Harmony Center is and will continue to be a major force in the cultural preservation of Hindus and Hinduism in Guyana. Concurrently with his work in the religious sphere, he was also engaged in the political arena. Indeed, he never saw contradiction between these two spheres of activities, but instead saw them as mutually reinforcing. Pandit became a member of the People's Progressive Party in the mid-50s and a member of Parliament on the 7th of December 1964. He was one of the longest-serving members of Parliament. He was chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament from 1985 to 1992 and deputy speaker for the same period. He served as Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Parliamentary Affairs from October 1992 to 2001 and Minister of Parliamentary Affairs from 2001 to 2006. He served as acting president of several occasions. He was chairman of the Constitutional Reform Committee of the National Assembly and was responsible for negotiating bipartisan consensus with several of the constitutional amendments and bills that were approved by the Parliament. He represented the country at several international conferences and meetings and was the recipient of several honors and awards. As a politician, Pandit won the respect and confidence of politicians from all sides of the political divide. He brought integrity, compassion, and understanding to politics in Guyana. Pandit reepu was a great soul, and we are fortunate to have such as him to serve us. In the tumultuous times of our transition from being a colony into an independent nation, multi-religious, multi-ethnic, and the bulk of our population recently transplanted from several countries of the ancient world to this land, there was need for leadership that was clear-sighted, generous, and compassionate. And he was such a one. He steadfastly believed there must be unity in diversity. The legacy of Pandit reepu a legacy of honesty and integrity, a legacy of love and unity, a legacy of compassion and generosity, a legacy of service and humility. His legacy will live in the Guyana Hindu Karmic Sabha, the People's Progressive Party, and in the hearts and minds of the hundreds of thousands that he has inspired and served. Yad yada charati shrestas tat tadeva karu jada sayat prabhalam kurti lokas tad aluvartati. The actions of a great man are an inspiration to others. Whatever he does becomes a standard for others to follow. The Supreme Shiva receive this Atma of our beloved Pandit into his refuge and grant him moksha. Thank you.
Judge of the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. Apart from his spiritual life and leadership of the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha, Pandit reepu has spent more than 50 years of his life in the political struggles of this country as an integral member of the People's Progressive Party. And it is my pleasure to ask His Lord Dr. Roger Luncheon to bring us remarks on behalf of the People's Progressive Party. Dr. Luncheon.
Rich family, ladies and gentlemen. The occasion today cannot help but generate grief and sadness at the passing of our dearly beloved comrade, Pandit reepu daman son. But along with the grief that is expected comes an opportunity to reflect on reap his life and his contributions. So noteworthy has been his works that I can say without any hesitation and fear of contradiction that he has worked his way into the history of the earth. The mature reepu daman Pusat, for me and for my party, brought two aspects to bear on our consciousness: his humility and his dedication to service. His humility and his dedication to service. Over the years, the mature Pandit reepu daman as head of a major religious organization, as a long-standing leader of the People's Progressive Party, as a parliamentarian with the longest service in the history of the legislature in then British Guyana and in independent Guyana. Reep has had ample opportunities over these years, these decades, to present an image to use the opportunities to cultivate and to consolidate on that image. And he has so done. And the reap that we know, and the reap that we came to love and to cherish, and to have fond expectations, that reap is what I present to you today to remember. Those personal attributes that has endeared himself to legions of Guyanese, here and abroad in the diaspora. Reap over the 77 years and in his mature years in the leadership has lived up to our expectations. As we stand here today, reviewing his life work, that specific personal attribute, his humility, for me, transcends all that he has done. Because it is on that basis that Rick has been able to cultivate the appreciation and the love and the respect that Guyanese have over the years brought the reefs to. We don't need polls to advise us about his value in society. We need testimonials to highlight different achievements during the period of his contributions to Guyanese society. We have his track accessible to all has been written. Quiet champion for justice. Peace loving. A man of infinite patience. Man given to deep reflection and bringing to bear profound on the issues of youth. And those with practice in his entire demeanor and the nature of his engagement with friends and family and party comrades and religious comrades. This is the reason that we want to remember. These are his life works that we need to render hallowed. But it was not only his humility that endeared Reepu to us. For many equally, and for many even more, has been the decade of service, committed service of a high and exemplary nature to Guyanese and to the Guyanese society. And that also we must know. That Reepu, his entire consciousness evolved around this concept of service. And the track record of the mature Reepu is all about service in the many facets of his engagements, the different skill types that he brought to bear. They were all used to promote his commitment service to the Guyanese people, service to the nation. Day and night he served. Who can forget? Within hours of being sworn in 1992, Minister of Agriculture, he was out there on the Lord's post. And he was fondly reminded the force of many sequence breaches that had him out in the middle of the night, serving communities in the area. This is the stuff that Reepu was made of. And that is what the 77 years has given us. An example. As we follow those years, and as we stand here today to say farewell and goodbye to our comrade, a life that resonates qualities that we cannot help but respect. I call on you to embrace as we move forward in the decades and in the years of the new year. Reepu, daman, has made his contribution and showed us the way. important contributions, stressing personal qualities that those of us who aspire to lead, those of us who are undertaking the mantle of leadership, cannot help but embrace, cannot help but seeing the importance of the reepu in being in Guyanese society. Reap the personal level, I would say, I must admit, enjoying Reap's presence, working with Reap, controversial, delicate matters, and his mere presence assuaging my anxieties and making me feel like nothing was difficult. To read his advice and his comfort. And I saw in the gathering here today, there are many and came to expect such outcomes from their engagement with you.
The reepu, daman, my former parliamentary colleague on opposite sides of the political divide, was received by me at a time when I was in deep reflection on the beauty of life, the mysteries of the universe, and man's role in the world. I was in the upper reaches of the Daman River, closest to nature, attempting to record the political journey I traveled in Guyana, and the many people, both friends and foe, that I encountered along the way. Strange as it may seem, while I was immediately saddened by the news of Reap's departure from this earthly plane, I was perhaps fortunate to be in the appropriate location to accept the certainty of life. My sadness was replaced by acceptance and admiration for a man who would have been well prepared for this eventuality, who had the privilege of completing his earthly journey with a sense of accomplishment, and would have been deeply satisfied with his contribution during his life's journey. I am confident that a man I knew would not have wanted us to shed tears, though that is a difficult task for loved ones to accept. I believe he would have wanted us to simply recognize his contribution and to give solemn thanks to the Creator for the opportunity of sharing this great soul for more than 7 decades. Today I feel privileged to have been given the opportunity by his family to salute and pay tribute to one of Guyana's patriotic sons, whose life reflected his PPP political affiliation. Pandit, politician, people's advocate, and who, after lifelong service to his native land, made his exit from the stage of life a few days ago. For more than half a century, fortified by both his religious and ideological beliefs and his love of country, he strode the political stage of Guyana, using all his energies in service of his political party, his creator, the people of Guyana, and indeed humanity. Even after his formal retirement from the national political stage, after some 41 years as a parliamentarian, he remained concerned about the welfare and well-being of Guyanese until the day of his death. I doubt that there would be any controversy over the assertion that he was an outstanding politician
and well-respected pundit of unquestionable patriotism, who used his strength and his practical experience to embrace a vision of a truly developed Guyana. An objective review of his life would reveal his multifaceted personality, a deeply religious man with strong political convictions, who courageously espoused his views and never wavered in his activities to promote his beliefs. Yet, he was tolerant and respectful of different opinions. I believe that his humble beginnings on a sugar plantation in colonial Guyana, which he often recounted to me during our years of association, would have well prepared him for his life's journey and molded his personality. His humility was legendary, and he undoubtedly was a humanitarian. I believe he embraced some of the writings of Khalil Gibran in The Prophet. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. It is my view that he gave of his best to Guyana in the political, social, and religious realm with joy and a deep understanding of the times. His political career embraced the political struggle for independence and nation building, but so much has been said and written about him over the past few days that it would be highly irresponsible of me to use this occasion to repeat them. I merely endorse most of what has been said. My acquaintance with reepu spanned my entire life in national politics, from youth to retirement, where he was a constant participant until he left the Parliament chamber in 2006, 5 years before I followed him. In spite of us being on different sides of the political divide, we had a healthy, cordial, and respectful relationship. Even when issues caused tempers to flare in the chambers of the House, reepu was always the first in the corridors to seek to return the situation to normalcy. I believe he understood how the National Assembly should function and was always willing to look for compromises. I therefore concur with some sentiments expressed by Mayor Hamilton Green a few days ago when he stated, and I quote, "I recall reepu was a gentleman and a patriot in every sense of those words. During our debates in Parliament in the halcyon days, it was a source of stimulation to debate with Reed and the late Baji Rampuran," end of quote. As a person, reepu was gracious, well-spoken, and straightforward in his personal and social relations. My association with him for nearly 50 years have left a legacy of lasting memories. When I met him last, we were both privileged to have been recognized by the Parliament of Guyana for our long and dedicated service as members of the National Assembly. Just days prior to that event, we had resumed our communication almost on a daily basis, just like the olden days. He was constantly on the phone with me during those days to ensure that our remarks were coordinated and without controversy. That was the man I knew. It was a privilege to have known him. As a grateful nation, we must recognize all those who contributed to the political and social development of this country. Accordingly, I am pleased that his valuable contributions were recognized in his lifetime by the National Assembly. I can assure you, he indeed fully appreciated the gesture, Mr. Speaker. Words are inadequate to express condolences on behalf of my family and colleagues, with his wife, children, and other members of his extended family. I hope that God will grant you all the strength and fortitude to overcome this difficult hour. Be, however, consoled by the fact that he lived his life fully unto the end. He served humanity as best as he could. He remained faithful to his religious and political beliefs, and he had the satisfaction of doing it reepu's way. I also tender my sincere condolences to the party he served faithfully all his life, and know we share the loss of an illustrious son and fighter for the cause and things he believed in. But there was always mutual respect for our differing religious beliefs. I am reminded, therefore, by the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, that there is a time and season for everything under the planet. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to weep and a time to laugh. I believe reeps enjoyed all the seasons of life. In similar position like this, I am sure that Reep would have invoked similar relevant lines from the Bhagavad Gita. It would, however, be more appropriate today as I say farewell to my comrade to reflect on the words of the poet Longfellow when he wrote, and I quote, "There is no death, for what seems so is transition. This life of mortal breath is but a suburb of the life Elysium, whose portal we call death." End of quote. And John Milton once wrote a poem in Latin on the death of Dr. John Gosling, Vice Chancellor of the University of Cambridge, where Milton was still a student. A translation of that poem reads thus: "Reverend Chancellor, I pray your limbs find peace in the gentle soil, and from your grave spring roses and marigolds and a hyacinth with purple face."
Our life and our death are in the hands of God Almighty. Guyana has lost an outstanding religious leader, Paul Patriarch. His commitment and dedication towards his religion and the Guyanese people is commendable and will long be remembered. He applied his knowledge of his religious teachings in his political and everyday life and became an icon. Today, the Muslim community joins with his family, relatives, colleagues in the government, and his followers in mourning the passing of a man who came from humble beginnings, achieved greatness, but never lost the common touch. On behalf of the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, in my own behalf, I wish to express my deepest condolence to the family and relatives of Pandit Reepu Daman. The Muslim community will miss him because he was in the forefront, promoting unity in diversity, particularly among the religions, ensuring the common good for all Guyanese, the rejection of violence and discrimination in all its manifestations, and the restoration of democracy. He will be remembered for his struggles for the betterment of the people and his principled stand on several national issues. His optimism and enthusiasm allowed him to convert every stumbling block into a stepping stone, and find strength in weakness, qualities which are worthy of emulation. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best human being is the one who is most beneficial to mankind. Further, he said, whenever tolerance is present in something, it beautifies it. And whenever it is removed from something, it disfigures it. We will remember him, our dear friend and brother, as a person of tolerance and patience. You are gone, but you will not be forgotten.
Thank you, Sheikh Moinul Haq of the Muslim community. I now invite Reverend Kwame Gilbert from the Church of God to represent the Christian community.
The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. These are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. The life of Pandit Reepu Daman epitomized this great philosophy, the heights to which he has attained, or as a result of unrelenting resilience in the face of great odds and adversity. The irony of our existence is that our deepest reflections of life come at a time of death. We scarcely recognize and celebrate the value of the human soul, while words of comfort and commendation can ease the anguish and lighten the load of a brother in the throes of the human struggle. The words we say today about Pandit Reepu will make for a great memoir in his honor, but they are forever lost to his heirs. Did he know how much he meant to our world? Death is a universal experience, no matter what our culture or religion or race or country of origin, we will all die. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that the soul goes to Swarga. The Bible teaches that the righteous dead go to heaven. The underlying principle of these holy writings points to a reality of death. But the pre-qualification for entry into this eternal place is the quality of life of one's living here on the earth. It is the degree to which we give of ourselves to the cause of our God and the good of humanity that determines our eligibility for entrance. Our life is not measured by its duration, but by its donation. And in the words of Luke, a man's life does not consist in the abundance of things he possesses, but in righteousness. Pandit Reepu was many things to many people. We adorned him with titles befitting his assignment and his earthly roles and responsibilities. But to God, he was a servant. A servant whose life was dedicated to the lifting of the eyes and the heart of humanity to a place beyond their present circumstances. As a pandit and a politician, the reason endeavor of his life was to give his best and expect nothing in return. Service to humanity will of necessity push one into a place of power and prominence, and to a soul untamed can bring such a one into moral collapse and decadence. But Pandit Reepu proved by his example that one can possess power and prominence and still embody the virtues of simplicity, integrity, philanthropy, and love for humanity. He proved that one can walk among kings and worship amongst commoners. Pandit Reepu has left a legacy that one's faith and religion must never be used as a disqualifier to national political participation. He bridged the gap between religion and politics and pioneered in Guyana a political culture which ensured that people of faith and religion be given a place at the table of national life and the process of nation building. As a politician, he navigated his way with much dexterity through the political fray of his day and preserved through great adversity the image of a religious leader and a great statesman. The religious and political fabric of our nation have woven into its complex tapestry the life, labor, and legacy of a great man. At a personal level, I myself have been on many occasions the recipient of his vast wealth of knowledge on the philosophical construct of life. as I would seek him out on many occasions at his office, at the office of the President. I have always been amazed at the fact that while his outer frame seemed to have deteriorated, that his mind and his brain was as sharp as ever. On behalf of the Church of God, and dare say the Christian community in Guyana,
a massive void which will never be filled. In 1992, when the election was won by the current ruling party, shortly afterwards, I met Guruji in London. And he said to me, Ramesh, I have lived up to my name, reepu, daman. I have conquered my enemies. Guruji will be dearly missed by tens of thousands of people throughout the world. God saw he was getting tired. The cure was not to be. So he put his arms around Guruji and whispered, "Come with me." With pain-filled hearts and tear-filled eyes, we watched him fade away. Although we love him dearly, we could not make him stay. O Lord Krishna, keep your arms around Guruji and in your loving care. Make up for all he suffered and all that seemed unfair. A golden heart has stopped beating. Hard-working hands are at rest. God has broken our heart to prove he only takes the best. Travel safely, Guruji, to the board of Lord Krishna. Jai Sri Sitaram.
I now invite Pandit Devdat Prasad from the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha's New York chapter to do a tribute.
Dhanyavad, Chairman, our most honorable His Excellency Shriman Antarji, esteemed brothers and sisters, devotees and friends. During the early 70s and 80s, Panditji began his Yajna tour in Burmese. And there he was able to command the respect of the pandits of Central Heritage Ground. To him we look for guidance. He taught us well, and we admire the way he gave his pravachan. He taught us, as we preach, we must be very fearless, was very respectful at the same time. But unfortunately, those pundits leave for the US. But that did not stop Panditji. He insists, and upon his persistence, on April the 6th, 2011, along with Pandit Rishiram, Pandit Yoganand, Pandit Sumil, Pandit Ishwar, and Bhai Bernard, we formed the USA Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. Our promise to Panditji today is that we'll continue to give support to the Dharmic Sabha in propagating, in the promotion of Sanatan Vaidika. Panditji told us that if we had to choose between being a politician and a pandit, he would choose being the pandit first. But he also realized that he can do both at the same time. Because as a pandit, he'll be serving dharma, religion on one hand. As a politician, he'll perform seva, Because after all, if the term is religion, then politics, devotees, is karma, it is seva. Service unto others is service unto God. राम नाम सत्य है, सब कोई एकत्र है. धन्यवाद.
I now invite Pandit Parsuram Sharma from the USA.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, I would like to get your permission to say on behalf of my family, on behalf of who were so vigilant for the last, remembering all the good words of Guruji, on behalf of all those admiring personalities, I want to extend our deepest sympathy to Gurumai Indrani, and all her children. And I would like just to chant a few verses which reflect the personality and the character and the beliefs of Guruji. I said to a few persons 2 nights ago in the Prem Bhakti Mandir in Queens. I first met Guruji on the 20th of July 1975. And you can see a ripple of laughter and smiles on the faces. I wonder how many of you can remember when you met him first. I remember that date because he performed my Viva Sanskar, and it will never be forgotten. I want to say thank you very much, Guruji, as I chant these verses. You have taught us well, and you have left a beautiful legacy for us to follow. You were very strong, very courageous, according to these verses that I will utter. Able, ready, prepared, and well equipped.
To see. We also learned Hindi at the CI Hindi school, where my father taught. There is a possibility that my Mamu got his first taste of Pandit work when my father wrote in those books mantras in the rituals for him to learn. My mother read the Ramayana daily, and we really enjoyed this, even though we didn't understand much. But she had a wonderful singing voice. She also played the drum. My Mamu also enjoyed this because whenever she's not around, he used to have a bow on the drum. This is probably why he had this love for music. I learned much from my Mamu. He had the tendency to say, honesty is the best policy. I'm not sure where he got this from. He repeated this whenever I tried to cheat the games. I can't remember whether he also told me that I should do things even if I don't and I must not expect any reward. In my little mind, at that time, I thought rewards meant chocolates,
sweets, and other refreshments. He also taught me how to deal with things in difficult situations without any hassle or irritating anyone. He was a wonderful communicator, and I feel this is the reason why he has been so successful in his life. Mahmoud, the whole family, and I will miss you. Rest in peace. May the Lord Krishna shower his blessings on you in your ongoing journey.
Thank you, Dr. Shami Azir Pandit's nephew. I will now ask Ms. Ravina Saran from Trinidad to come and pay tribute. And before she speaks, I would like to ask the various crowns to be on standby to do your floral tribute short.
Trinidadians always like to cause trouble, eh? Excellency President Ramajal, members of Parliament, distinguished guests, sisters and brothers all, sit around. It's said that no one comes into your life by chance. But little did I know that that day in March of 1969, I would be welcoming someone not only into our home, but into our lives and hearts forever. The bond between the families of Patmos Street, Trinidad, and Prashad Nagar, Guyana had been cemented. Reepu Daman Prasad, Uncle Reepu for me, was a powerful and dynamic pundit. From the moment he sat in the singhasan, words magically emanated from his lips. His kathas and discourses expounded the essence of life's principles and philosophies and revealed the true purpose of our being. His passion and yearning for truth and God could be felt in every syllable he enunciated, and in so doing, he awakened the spirituality in all and that individual consciousness towards God's realization. He performed several yajnas in Trinidad, including those at the Lakans, Sitarams, Jopus, temples in St. James and Chabonas, and was one of the first pundits to officiate at the annual Ramayana at the Diwali Nagar in Trinidad. Pandit Reepu Daman Prasad was used as a benchmark for all other pundits. To have the opportunity to listen to him was mind-blowing, but to share his space, company, and personal life was a great lesson in humility, caring, and compassion. Auntie Indra, the children, Chachi, and the entire extended family became one with the Lakhans and we would visit each other's homes for every special occasion. As you would all know, he had a slight weakness. He loved to know how he sounded. So you just had to say, Uncle Ray, you sound that button good, and he would light up like a ball. He would say, Ralph, it real sound good, eh? And he would be blushing up a storm. Indeed, flattery could get you everywhere. Reepu Daman Pasad has played an integral part in who I am today, and I shall forever be grateful for his guidance, advice, and motivation. Much has been repeated today, and I endorse them all. He personified our greeting namaste as he saw the divinity in all he met. Don't know, Reepu Daman, the name is a rare one. There is one Reepu Daman in the Ramayana, and fittingly, there has only been one Reepu Daman I have heard of truly. A truly one-of-a-kind person. I pray on behalf of my dad, Ralph Lacan, my sisters, Uncle Suraj and family, and indeed all his Trinidad relatives, that Prabhu Shri Ram blesses his soul. May he reap the benefits of his life's offering in this Jannah. I love you, and you're always something. Sitaram.
I now invite Mr. Vashish Maharaj, his godson from Trinidad, to bring a tribute.
His Excellency, President, all other protocols obeyed. V.S. Naipaul, having reviewed the life of Mahatma Gandhi, said he was a politician who used religion for political purpose. Said that in his book, The Writer's People. My group would have challenged V.S. on several fronts. First, he would have challenged him philosophically, and he would have told him, as a Hindu, he saw no difference between politics and religion. He could have also challenged him by instances in his life. In his absence, may I recount 3 of those instances for you. I was present with him in Alexander Village in Guyana when he was speaking on the platform, and a current politician, together with another politician, took up a brick, felt it struck him, fractured his ribs, and he was bleeding. He held on for 1 hour and spoke and told that politicians they will not break up that meeting. The gentlemen who lined in front of him to protect him were all arrested and charged with everything from espionage down to arms and ammunition. I was present with him the day after when he went to Mr. Prem Prasad, then Justice, to get bail for them. He stood bail for them with his property. The clerks refused to type the bail bond. He typed it. He signed it. He got the judge to sign it, and he delivered it to secure bail for them. I will tell you of a second incident. It happened the Sunday after the last election that abrogated onto himself. I was at his home. We were leaving to go to the temple. There were a number of old ladies outside. They were all crying. But how we will survive the next 5 years was the question on their lips. When we were leaving in the car, he said to me, I didn't know what I'm going to tell them, you know. We got into the Campbell Street Temple, and he started, and I promised Vindy I will tell her what he said then. and I shall quote him verbatim. He said, when my forefathers came from India, it is within the pages of the Ramcharitmanas they sought solace. And today I shall take you on that journey once more, so that there we shall find solace, upon which we shall survive the next 5 years. When he left that temple, what started off looking like a funeral gathering turned out to be a gathering of hope. That was his gift, that was his capacity. The third incident happened in Trinidad. They were forming the Caribbean Pundits Parishad. I collected him at the airport to drop him to the conference. When we got there was a Trinidad Pundit who had been excluded from the gathering. 1 week before, that Pundit had met me at a function and had to tell me what an awful person my godfather was. When we got there, the Pundit who had been excluded came, did my godfather's arati, bent down, touched his foot, and my godfather, as he always does, hugged him and said, you are going as part of the Guyanese delegation if they don't want you as a Trinidad Pundit. Well, my anger at the Pundit ventured at anger at my guru. How could he do this? How could he embrace a man that was a hypocrite, that was so vile in his words against you 1 week ago? So when I came back to collect him, for once, there was no dialogue between him and I. If you know Trinidad, we left Massawa headquarters in St. Augustine, and when we were at Roundabout Plaza, he watched me and he said, listen, I want you to turn around this car. I am going to go back to that conference, and I am going to cuss that pundit up and down and tell him the worst of things. So I looked at him and he said, if that will make you happy. I felt so ashamed. He turned around and said to me, I want you to teach you one thing in life. Don't let anybody set your standards. You set your standards. Mr. Dudnal Singh, Senior Counsel, has asked me to convey his deepest condolences. He wishes he could have been here, but he tried this morning, but he couldn't afford to be here. And finally, I want to mention, everybody here has said what a loss Guyana has had. I agree, but that is to sell my guru short. He has revolutionized Hinduism in the Caribbean and wherever the Caribbean diaspora resides, for which I am eternally grateful. Thank you.
I take it you all are aware that he is a practicing attorney in Trinidad and Tobago. At this time, we will now have Pushpanjali, which is a celebration of a floral tribute to Pandit. And whilst that is taking place, we will have bhajans being sung by the Dharmic Kirtan group on the stage. This time, there are 8 prans in Guyana. Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. We will call them in the order.
Narayana Priyamanam Haju Vishwanath